All right, we'll just go live on YouTube. How's that?
That sounds good to me.
So we are live on YouTube for a change because the Facebook ain't working. I don't know why. I'm also going to record this meeting because this is an episode. Oops, let's not get that feedback. Get rid of myself. And we're going to record the meeting as well. So this is Justin Dunn with Justin Answer, the podcast. Anyway, that'll do. And we are here with Lord Simon Jacobs, a self-professed professional weirdo. What's that? Well, we'll find out in a minute. We are here with cultural creatives interested in fulfilling in creativity that may be currently lying dormant within them. Let's just say it's not even outside the box. You blow the box up. That's an analogy, but what it says is that there's an untapped resource in most companies and organizations, and you have the ability to completely unleash that in every single employee.
That's correct. That's a grandiose way of explaining it, but definitely I focus on unleashing creativity within companies. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So what qualifies you as an expert, Simon?
That's a very good question, a very fair question. I would say, first of all, that since I was much younger, I've always been classed as a stereotypical creative. And with that, you think about people who draw, paint, etc. I was always one of those people. But throughout my life, I have done those things. I have been an artist, a graphic designer, studied it. And then throughout my career, I have been using my own creativity to make things happen, stir things up. And then more recently, I have read in the realms of about 1,000 books on creativity, probably watched every TED Talk, TEDx talk on creativity. So I would say I am the wholesale in terms of creativity that you get access to, mixed with the stuff that I've done with Professional Weirdos over the last 3 years or so. Those would be my qualifications in terms of creativity.
Well, certainly that's a lot of books. I've read a lot of books too, but not that many. And I consider myself a creative. As you know, my audience is cultural creatives, but I don't specialize in creativity and the whole process of creativity. So that's why it's particularly interesting for me to learn from you, to know what it is that you teach people, because that's a very, very special thing, but it's absolutely indispensable. An organization without creativity, who isn't creating, is going to die eventually, because creativity could be simply in the strategy room or in the boardroom, trying to come up with some strategy to turn things around. But that requires creativity from the board members. And if you can unleash it in pretty much anyone, then that's a big deal. So if you don't mind, please teach us a principle, or please teach a principle to our audience that they can relate to and immediately apply.
So for me, the first thing when I ever go into a company is to give them a task. And that is to simply spot something that you haven't spotted in the last year or so. So that could be something as simple as walking out of the office and looking around, looking up even. The amount of times that you walk into a building and don't look up and see what's above your eye line is, cataclysmic. No one does it. And you can apply that to everyday life as well. So if you walk to work, with COVID-19 happening at the moment when we're recording, you might be going outside a bit more, spot something that you haven't spotted before. And it's as simple as just looking somewhere different. Go down that street you haven't been down, go into that shop you haven't been in. And it's amazing how much that shifts your mindset and gets you ready to be more creative. It might not necessarily spark an idea straight away. That's not how creativity works, but it's about being ready for that creativity. So that would be the first thing that I would say. Go spot something new.
Yeah, and there's an additional benefit. I don't know if you thought of this, in terms of not just creativity, but also in terms of awareness and presence. Because if you're noticing something that you didn't notice before, even in the familiar environment, outside world, you're going to be more aware. You're going to be more present. So that is an additional benefit to that, which I can certainly see. And I happen to know that some, you know, espionage spy organizations are very keen on people's ability to spot many things
Yeah.
at one time as they enter a room. So that might increase your chances of getting a job as the next James Bond. Who
There you
knows?
go.
So how fun would that be? So a few recent success stories would be great.
Absolutely. So first thing I can think of is I recently did a talk at a company called John Lewis. I don't know where your audience is from, but John Lewis is quite a well-known company in the UK, at least. They've got some branches elsewhere, but UK, I did a talk at one of their head offices, and it was an hour to what professional weirdos is and the mindset side of things. And it was to G them up. It was part of their Be Yourself Day, and got got quite a good reception, loads of laughs. People enjoyed it. Left the room feeling more creative. But the biggest success story for me was getting a personal message from someone who was in the talk on LinkedIn saying that it was the best talk they'd had, but ultimately that it built up her confidence to feel more open to suggesting ideas in the workplace, and that she was pleased to see someone sharing those thoughts with people in the group. Basically, that was a huge moment for me. And we can talk about metrics, we can talk about profit increases, we can talk about the bottom line and stuff, but actually if you can touch someone on a personal level and make them feel something, I think that for me is one of the biggest successes, and that is something that I would like companies to recognize in terms of
It
having that
truly
effect.
is. And what a result that you got for that individual, because how many times have I dealt with companies as an employee even where there is a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of fear. And the fear culture might not even be intentionally being set, although that's a lie. It's always intentional. But the point is there is fear around there for people speaking up. And if and sometimes people lack a little bit of confidence, and they may not need therapy, they may not need, there may not be anything wrong with the individual. And so that's really a big deal if you can
Yeah,
go in and help one person or many people or a whole team or a whole company to not only reveal their creativity but to not conceal it, meaning to have the confidence to share their creativity with others. One untapped resource in most companies is exactly that. There's a lot of wonderful ideas in most organizations, but they're hidden. Nobody knows where they are. And how
absolutely.
important is it for somebody to be able to speak up, not in a bad way, but in a way that they feel, I want to reveal this in me on a personal and selfish level, that could even help the individual move up in the world, move up in the company, contribute to the company more in a more significant way. So there are so many benefits to what you just did, to what you just said on a one person basis, but actually there's a ripple effect that'll go on for the entire company. And just so, most of the audience tends to be in the USA. I do have a lot of people in the UK as well as India and other countries as well, like Bangladesh. Smaller audience, but just as loved. So shout out to all of the people around the world, even in Australia and countries I won't mention because I cannot rattle off every single country on earth off the top of my head. But I do kind of have a visual representation of my demographic, split on the podcast of the listeners, including male, female, and all that. So
That's great.
I would like to say thank you to everybody. So do you have any more that you'd like to share with us today?
Sure. Well, I've got one in particular that isn't actually a professional weirdo's story. It was prior to that, but it's a prequel to why I started professional weirdos, and it's it's such a big moment for me. And as you introduced, I am Lord Simon Jacobs. For those listening outside of the UK, there are websites that you can buy lordships on. I bought one when I was about 16, and I went to America when I was about 16 as part of a youth trip. And I'd recently gotten my lordship put on my bank statement on my bank card, so it said Lord Simon Jacobs on my bank card. And on the last day of the youth trip, we were in New York, we were in New York City, and we were given some challenges as a last day to sort of get to know the city a bit better before we left. And some of the challenges were take as many pictures in as many Starbucks as possible, meet a celebrity, talk your way into a hotel suite, and busk in Times Square. And my friends and I had done all the other tasks other than busk in Times Square, and so there we were, belting out Wonderwall by Oasis. I was the token northerner. All my other friends were from London, and we had our caps in hand, ready to collect some dimes and some nickels. And we were doing okay. We were getting some shrapnel here and there, mainly out of pity, I think, probably to get us to shut up. When all of a sudden, I felt a huge hand on my left shoulder, and I look up, and he must have been about 7 foot tall, this police officer, and I felt every orifice open at that point. I turned to my right, and all my friends had cleared off, run away, and there I was, dripping with sweat. 16-year-old me, nervous, and he starts just shouting at me, telling me that busking in Times Square is illegal without a pass. I think I heard something along the lines of deported, take you off to jail, take you off to the cell and stuff. And he must have seen in me that I was about to well up and about to start crying, and he relented slightly. At which point I had a bit of an out of body experience, and I heard my own voice come out of my mouth. And I started saying, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was illegal to bus in Times Square, part of a youth trip. I'm actually a lord. And at which point he gave me a bit of a look. And my friends had seen that I'd managed to quell the situation slightly. And they knew I had this bank card. And so they said, show him the card, show him the card. So I pulled the card out, showed it to him. And he looked at it, looked me up and down, looked at it again. And then he bowed. And and at that point he looked like we've swapped places. Basically, he was very apologetic, sorry for shouting at a lord. I think at that point he was worried that he was going to cause an international incident. He asked us for pictures, and at the end he said have a nice day, sorry for shouting at you, and just don't busk in Times Square anymore. And the lesson to me there there are a few lessons. One was ask for forgiveness, not for permission. That was a huge one. And also, all the adults that I told that I was buying the lordship said it was a complete waste of money. And I did it for fun. And it has been one of the best investments I've ever made. I've got loads of stories like that. And I would say follow your creativity, follow your intrigue, and embrace that within you, and also buy a lordship if you can. And for me, that was just a huge moment. I was this nervous 16-year-old, and this huge moment where things started to click into place, and I realized that certain things were the right ways of doing things, and it was just a great experience. So that was a big success for me. It's not necessarily in terms of the business side of things, but it's definitely something that I bring into the stuff that I do.
No, it's really cool. It's really cool. So, where can people receive some additional free support from you? I think I heard you have like a Facebook group.
Yes, indeed. The Facebook group is called Professional Weirdos. So you can just type that in on Facebook. It's free of charge. There are some questions to start with, just 3 simple questions. They're a bit of fun. And in the group, we talk about everything from career to marketing and everything else around it, academia, you name it. There are plenty of subjects about that. It's just about adopting the professional weirdos mindset to all of those things.
So that's fantastic. So I encourage everybody to check out Professional Weirdos Facebook group. It is a wonderful place to find out more, to dive into the universe of Lord Simon Jacobs, to dive into that universe, but also to find out more what is a professional weirdo. Does that mean you're one? I don't know. It doesn't have to, but it can help you to be and live more creatively. So I really encourage everyone to, at least at the very minimum, go and check it out, because you might discover something absolutely wonderful. And if you happen to have a business with employees or not, might want to engage with Simon, because he has the ability to help that creativity come out, that creativity that's within. If you've ever had writer's block, or if you're ever sitting there, I can't compose an email, or I can't come up with a strategy, or I can't do this. Well, that is a little bit of a creative blockage. And this guy is a creative plumber. I don't know. I'm full of analogies today. So whatever it is, go check him out. The Facebook group. I mean, how many creative weirdos are you going to have out there? So I assume if you just type that in, you will find the group. It is a beautiful thing. So Simon, thank you very much for appearing on this podcast, YouTube Live, as well as YouTube video. So please make sure that you like, comment, share. Let me know what you think about this particular interview. Let me know what you think about Lord Simon Jacobs, only if it's positive. And we will see you next time with more fantastic interviews and fantastic people.